Before playlists, before vinyl, before digital waves filled our ears, there was a horn. A brass horn that sang. It didn't just play music, it announced it. The gramophone wasn't just a machine, it was the sound of a new century. But how did this elegant relic rise, rule, and eventually fade into silence? Welcome to Retro Treasure Unearthed, where we dust off the icons of yesterday to rediscover how they shaped the world we live in today. In this episode, we'll spin the tale of the gramophone, from its revolutionary invention, to its golden age in living rooms and parlors, and the echoes it still leaves in our culture today. The birth of recorded sound. It began in the late 1800s, a time of inventions, steam, and imagination. Thomas Edison had already created the phonograph in 1877, recording sound onto tinfoil.
The first words I spoke in the original phonograph, a little piece of practical poetry. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
But it was Emil Berliner who changed the game in 1887, introducing the gramophone, the first to use flat discs instead of cylinders. This shift wasn't just technical, it changed how sound could be shared, copied, and sold. The rise of the gramophone. By the early 1900s, the gramophone had found its way into homes across Europe and America. Companies like Victor Talking Machine and his master's voice made it a status symbol. Music wasn't confined to the opera house anymore, it lived in the living room. For the first time, you could bring Caruso's voice or a jazz band from New Orleans right into your parlor. Cultural explosion. The gramophone didn't just play songs, it democratized culture. It allowed people from different corners of the world to hear the same melody. In India, it recorded the earliest Hindustani music. In Africa, traditional drums met recording discs. It created global stars, reshaped entertainment, and gave rise to a new kind of nostalgia, one that lived on vinyl. The art of listening. There was ritual in it. The winding of the crank, the lowering of the needle, the anticipation before the sound. Every pop and crackle was part of the charm. In a way, listening to a gramophone was intimate, it demanded attention. It wasn't background noise, it was an event. Golden Age and symbolism. In the roaring 1920s and 30s, the gramophone became a cultural emblem. It symbolized sophistication, modernity, and connection. It stood in movie posters, radio ads, and even propaganda, proof that sound had power. Maybe you've seen one in your grandparents' house, that huge horn on a wooden cabinet. Maybe you've even tried spinning a record and smiled as it slowly came to life. There's something magical about its imperfections, the hiss, the crack, the physical dance of needle and groove. It's music you can see and touch. That's something digital will never replace. By the 1940s, electric record players began taking over. Smaller, louder, and more convenient. The horn went silent, and soon, the gramophone became a relic of another age, replaced by the vinyl turntable, and later by tape, CD, and streaming. But its spirit lived on in every music format that followed. Today, collectors and enthusiasts still restore these machines, not just for the sound, but for the soul. The gramophone reminds us that music wasn't always instant. It was effort, patience, and wonder. So next time you press play, remember the brass horn that started it all. Because in its echoes, you can still hear the heartbeat of a century past.